In this video, I want to take a few minutes to discuss what constitutes a good argument in math. Let's start with the definition of an argument. We define a math-based argument as a claim supported by evidence along with the justification for why the evidence can be used to support the claim. A claim is simply a statement or conclusion that the authors of the argument make in response to a question. The claim, in other words, is what students have figured out. The claim is thought to be true by the authors, and the evidence and justification helps support the truth of the claim. The evidence, broadly speaking, is information and reasoning in support of the claim. Justification is a description of why the evidence used to support a claim matters, why it is important to consider, and why it is appropriate to use in a specific context. Prior videos in this series go into more detail on what evidence and justification are. So if you haven't watched those videos yet, it might be helpful to pause this video and watch those other two first. The easiest place to start thinking about what makes a good argument is to use the argument presentation board template that the students use in the share stage of an ADI math investigation. The math argumentation board is divided into 5 sections: the guiding question, the claim, the sections for declarations, evidence, and finally, the section for justification. The guiding question is, of course, the question the students have been given to solve. The claim is their answer to the question, and this is the statement that they are going to present and defend during an episode of argumentation with their peers. So what constitutes a good argument? Here are some points to look for. Does the claim answer the guiding question? Sometimes students will get off target with their claim, so it's always a good idea to make sure to reference that guiding question often. Does the declaration section contain any variables or equations that need to be stated as being used in the claim or to help the reader understand the evidence or justification? Does the information and the reasoning that students use as evidence support the claim that the student group has made? And finally, does the justification section explain why the evidence matters? Does it make a compelling case for why it is important, or at the very least reasonable to use the information included in the evidence instead of some other type of other information? Is the mathematics used appropriate for the task at hand? Here's an example of a math-based argument presented on a whiteboard from an investigation that is designed to support student understanding of measurement and liquid volume. We have simplified the evidence students provided in their argument to help highlight the features of a good argument. The full investigation requires students to compare several drink containers. The guiding question asks students which of several drink containers is the largest. As you can see in the argument, the students have shared their claim, which is that bottle 2 is the largest because it holds the most volume. They have declared both the formulas they use to calculate volume and what those symbols mean. Their evidence provides both information in the form of calculations and reasoning, which is the comparison between the two bottles. Finally, in the justification of their evidence, the students shared why their evidence is important and appropriate to consider when comparing the size of drink containers, by noting that volume is a measure of the amount of space something takes up. And if we want to know which bottle will hold the most liquid, volume is a good way to compare bottles. In summation, a good argument in math is one that has a clear and focused claim to the guiding question, evidence that has been analyzed and supports that claim, and justification that supports the reasonableness of the path the students took to solve the guiding question.